Hi guys, it's Yana here, and today I will walk you through exactly how to study for exams. I will tell you the tips I used in college to get all A's, so stay tuned. So I'm assuming it's 1 or 2 weeks before exam, and you've been going to lectures and taking notes, because if you haven't, that will be your step number 1. Make sure to re-watch all lectures if that's possible and take notes. So go ahead and do that first. Otherwise, step 1. Go and look at study guides that your professor probably already posted or from previous exams and compare it to the material and your notes. You want to highlight or mark somehow that is the material you need to be studying. Everything else in the textbook is just fluff that you don't need to know, so focus only on the key material from the study guide. Step 2. Go over your notes and summarize it, create flashcards, create your own summary sheets, anything to help you study. You don't want to refer back to notes every time, you just want something concise and quick so you will just understand and it will get straight to the point. Number 3, Pomodora Technique. Not many of us can just sit down and study for 5 hours at a time, so Pomodora Technique is key. Just set up 20, 25, 30 minutes that you will be studying without any interruptions. Put your phone away, put everything else away, and just focus. And then give yourself a small break. Give yourself some food, just a snack break, a phone break, anything you need for your brain to relax, restore, and make more space for the new information. Number 4, as you've been studying, you will probably notice some things you understand, some things you can explain to yourself by going to the book or any tutoring online, and some things you really need help with. So that is next key. Make sure you can understand all the information just straight as you go. If you can't, make sure to use your resources. Online tutors, TA tutors, office hours, any tutors in general that you can think of, any study groups. Make sure you use your resources so you're not stuck on a problem and you don't waste weeks understanding something when you can help somebody else explain it to you. Number 5, now that you've been studying the information and just focusing on the key information you need to know, as I said in step 1, just go through your past homeworks, past quizzes, any practice quizzes your professor might have posted, any practice tests your professor posted. You want to keep on testing your knowledge. You want to see how much do you already know, what did you memorize easily, what do you understand, and what topics do you need to spend more time just understanding. So go ahead and start testing yourself maybe a week before the exam to see what your gaps are exactly. Number 6 is key. You need to give your brain enough time to rest in between your study periods. A lot of people want to just study 2 days before the exam and cram it all in the 8-hour study, but this will not work. You need your brain to just take breaks. When we sleep, your brain makes space for new information and memorizes the old information. The more breaks you're giving your brain, the more it will be able to process that information. With that comes the next step, number 8. The key is in how many times you get to see the information before your exam. So if you've only reviewed 2 weeks before and then 1 week before, you saw it twice. But if you continuously see it every other day, every day, the more times you see the same information, the more times your brain will be able to remember it and not forget it. I don't know if you've seen the forgetting chart as when we are taking notes, how our information that we just heard about, that in 10 minutes we only remember about half of it. That's why it's so important to take notes. Same thing happens when we're trying to memorize new information or any information in general. Just keep on refreshing that information in your brain so it stays there. And that ties into our next step, number 9. Make sure to get a good night's sleep before the exam. You need your brain just to defog. You need your brain to have good rest. We all know that when we don't get enough sleep, we just can't think straight the next morning or the next day. So you need to prioritize your sleep the day before. Get your full 8 hours. Make sure you have that rest. Make sure your brain is fresh and able to take in any more information that you want to review, or just making sure that it will not forget the information that you already know. Get a good night's sleep. And my last tip, number 9, I believe, is review the information the morning of the exam and as well right before the exam. Even if you get a good night's sleep, even if you get all that testing and all of that information into your brain the 2 weeks before, you want to make sure that information is fresh. Sometimes because of stress, you may just forget it. Even though you know this information, during the exam, it might just escape you. So make sure to review it in the morning and before the exam. If it's your early 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. exam, of course it's just once or still twice, as much as you can, review it the same day before the exam. Also, a nice tip, if you haven't been able to memorize something and you know you need to know this information, memorize it as much as you can right before the exam. Go in, take that blank sheet of paper and show the professor there's nothing on that sheet of paper, and as soon as you begin the exam, don't even look at the exam, just write down that information that you think you're about to forget. Because when the time comes to those questions, you already have something to reference that you will not need to worry that you're gonna forget. So the more time before the exam you have, 1 week or 2 weeks, that's perfect. Just keep on redoing the same steps of testing, getting rest, and getting exposure to the material. Again, testing, active recall is very important. Flashcards, testing is the best way to study for an exam, because exam is going to test you and you want to prepare exactly for what you're studying for. I know you might know the material, but having a good grade on the exam and knowing the material is not always the same. You need to master how to take the exam. So that's it, and I hope these tips helped. Of course, if you have any other tips and tricks, please write them down in the comments for everybody to see. We would love to just use every information and tip possible. And if you liked this video and it gave you any new insight, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.